Hey guys, so we've been spending a lot of time over at the farm property and I've been neglecting our home a little bit over here. The driveway looks horrible. It's covered in that black mold crap that you get all the time. So it's time to pressure wash. So I told Ryan, I said, look, there's gonna be some rain moving in. Why don't you grab the pressure washer and just hit it real quick. So I'm going to show you, I was teaching him the best way to do this, and I'll teach you guys the best way to do this. Now, we've done tons of videos on this. We have done the pool pressure washing videos. We have done the fence pressure washing videos. We have done driveway pressure washing videos time after time after time. And I'll tell you right now, if you want to start a good bar fight, start talking about pressure washing and using a tip versus a surface cleaner. Start talking about using bleach or not using bleach. Great way to start a bar fight. Everyone has their own opinion, guys. You do whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you, after years and years of doing this and actually us doing a bunch of testing on this, this is the way that it works. So first of all, let's talk about the equipment. In the description below, if you're looking for something I'm talking about, there will be one page. And on that page, I will link to everything. So I'm going to talk about 2 pressure washers. I'm going to talk about some tips. I'm going to talk about some accessories. I'm going to talk about all that. If you go to that, click on that, you'll see the page and I'll have everything listed there to the exact product link. So first of all, let's talk about the equipment. I have for years recommended, we have got one of these smaller units down at the beach house, and I've got 2 units here. I've got the smaller unit and the full-size engine unit up here, but these are Simpsons, and for years we have tested these, and by far, for the money, they're just a great buy. Now understand, Simpson is a pressure washer company. DeWalt is not a pressure washer company. DeWalt makes tools. Northern Tool is not a pressure washing company. They have their own brand of pressure washers. Well, when you see companies like that, guess who's usually making the pressure washers in private labeling form? Simpson. Simpson does a lot of private labeling for companies. So if you see a private labeled pressure washer, more than likely it's going to be a Simpson. That's what they do. They do pressure washing. So there's 2 units. There's a small engine unit and then there's a larger engine unit. They're both about the same, but the sweet spot on PSI and GPH. Let's talk about that real quick. Of course, PSI is the amount of pressure, and the gallons per hour is going to be the volume of water. Now, for the average homeowner, you want to buy a pressure washer where you never want more power. In other words, you want one that's actually pretty powerful, and both of these are powerful. I'm going to tell you right now. Now, we've got what, 600 linear feet of fence, and Ryan has pressure washed this fence multiple times as we've done restain projects and all kinds of stuff. We've done the pool, we've got the driveway, we've done barbs, we've done the beach house all around, the painted cement down there, everything. So we've put these through a lot of hell. But they are by far the best values. So I'll put a link to those down there. Now, let's talk about the surface cleaner versus a tip, because that's probably the most argued point that there is out there. The surface cleaner, I'll show you the surface cleaner today, and the surface cleaner has a unique function to it. Now, a lot of people are going to say, I've been using a tip for 40 years and it's just fine. Or they're going to say, I used a surface cleaner, I used one of those and it left streak marks. Well, it's because there's a couple reasons. Number one, you're not matching up the right pressure washer to the right surface cleaner. You need to make sure it matches up. And number two, you need to understand how they clean in a certain pattern. So when you're using a surface cleaner, first of all, you want to do sort of a 1/3 overlap, 1/3 overlap, 1/3 overlap, and you're going like this. So you're going, let's say you're going horizontally. Stop, wash it off with a hose, and now go back and just real lightly hit it vertically. And when you do that, why do you want to do that? Well, if you're getting streaks, it's because when you do your overlap, you're not doing a full overlap, and part of that is getting double washed, and part of that is not getting double washed. So that's why when people say, I have streaks, well, it's because you need to understand when you're overlapping, you're not doing a full overlap, and so part of that is getting a double clean. This will speed up. The surface cleaner, we did a test on this, and we did tip versus surface cleaner, and it will reduce the time that you spend pressure washing on a driveway 50%. If you have a professional pressure washing company, in other words, someone that's actually trained, that actually has gone through any kind of preparation or course study on this, they will not come out and use a tip on your cement. So on your driveway, and especially on your pool, which is a much finer cement, there's less aggregate in there, It's a very smooth surface. They're not going to use a tip because it'll actually score. So they'll be using a surface cleaner. Now let's talk about why surface cleaners are so effective. Surface cement, or concrete, concrete, if you look at it, is very porous. So when you have these like little U's or little pores inside there. Well, when you use a tip, you're spraying in one direction and you're cleaning sort of one side of that. Now this happened, we proved this down at the pool. That's a painted surface. There's lots of black speckles all around. Well, we couldn't get it out. We could not get those clean. We could not get that off with a tip. We put the surface cleaner on it, it was gone like that. Why is that? It's not due to power, it's due to multiple angles. So when you have a surface cleaner, you have two tips, two spray nozzles in it, and they're actually less powerful and less destructive than a tip, and they actually are alternating like this. So when the nozzle, you have multiple points and multiple angles that are spraying at that hole versus just one spray pattern like this. That's why it cleans so well and it's so effective. Next, this will tie into the bleach versus no bleach or cleaner versus no cleaner. But when you actually pressure wash, you'll see this gray and you'll see this material that's real hard to sort of wash off. Well, that's actually part of the cement. It's actually part of the cement, not the concrete. It's the actual cement that's inside of the concrete. That's actually, you're taking a small layer of cement or concrete off of that surface. So you'll see it, especially like when you clean a pool, you'll see this gray sort of, when you go to the edge, you'll see this gray stuff go into the water. Well, you're actually removing a small surface layer of the concrete. So does putting bleach on there really help? No, we've proven that. We did it out here. Putting bleach before you clean really isn't going to do anything. Some people say I like to put bleach afterwards. That's fine. Now, let's talk about the mold and algae issue. A lot of people say, well, I put bleach down because it keeps mold from coming back. No, it doesn't. When you do a surface clean, you're going to be removing all your mold spores, number one. Number two, you need to Google, and here's your assignment. You need to Google how many mold spores in every cubic yard of air that goes by. You'll quickly understand that outside, every cubic yard of air has 50,000 to 200,000 mold spores in it. So every cubic yard that goes by your driveway has mold spores, hundreds of thousands of mold spores, and every day millions and millions of mold spores are being deposited on your driveway. So saying that bleach, which will only last maybe a day, a few hours, or a day before it's gone, is going to help long term, it really isn't. So it just doesn't make that big of a difference. If you want to put it down before. If you want to put it down after, go ahead and put it down after. Guarantee you, people will say, I've been spraying bleach and it just does wonders, or whatever. Water is all you need. You don't need anything else. Now, if you have an oil stain, they do make oil eater products that you actually put it on and it actually eats, and I believe it's through a microbial process. It actually eats the oil, and that's one of the only ways to get that out. If you have rust stains, I will link to a product that I use down at the beach house. We have a white picket fence and we have a well irrigation system, and the inside of the picket fence turns orange. Why is that? It's oxidizing. It's the iron that's oxidizing, and it turns everything orange. This rust away product that I found, you literally can put it in a sprayer, spray it on, and in 20 seconds that rust is gone. It's phenomenal. Now, a lot of people in Georgia, we have red clay, mistake red clay stains or mineral stains for rust stains. So it may not be a rust stain. We have a lot of red clay stains out here. Now I'm going to talk about real quick, let's talk about some of the components. I'll show you this little green spring attachment that I always put on every pressure washer. And it moves the hose about 8 inches away from the engine. That's real important. The extension wand, you're going to want a 30-inch or approximately 30-inch extension wand. The surface cleaner, I'll show you the only surface cleaner I've used. We've tested multiple surface cleaners in previous videos. This one always wins. And again, the pump. So anyways, understand what I'm doing out here today. I'm just going to shoot video as we're doing it, but you have to understand when you're using a surface cleaner. You're going to go back and forth nice and slow. You're going to do an overlap, but because you don't do a full overlap, you're not double cleaning the whole point, you may say, oh, I'm going to see it. I see a streak. That's true. So now what you do is you pull back. So you were going this way. Now you're just going to go back and forth this way. Got it? Makes sense. So let's go forward and I'll show you this video. So we're going to be, the driveway is nasty. We haven't pressure washed this driveway in a year and a half. You can see that there's just black crap all over it. Look at this. even up here on the sidewalk. This really needs to be done. I normally have a pretty clean, bright white driveway. But let's go over the equipment, then I'll go over some tips, and then we'll actually clean. So the equipment. There are two pressure washers that I have recommended for years, and they're both Simpsons. One is a lightweight. It uses the smaller Honda engine, and then of course the larger Honda engine. One is the 3200 PSI, the other one is 33. And they're both 2.5 gallons per minute. Both of these are perfect for the homeowner. You'll never want any more pressure. In fact, when we run this thing, I just started this thing up, that wand is going to push you back. That's how much power this has. You don't need any more power. Maybe a higher GPM if you were a professional wanting to do a higher volume, but let me go over a few things that'll make your life easy. Number one, we just use a standard 0G hose, and the 0G hose, it's just your standard. I don't use any high capacity hose. However, when I hook this up to my machine, this is a really important part right here. And again, I linked it down in the description below. This pushes this out a little bit, and it has this little spring in it. Really important to get one of those, no matter what pressure washer you use. The next, we're using the standard hose. You need an extension wand. So you need this 30-inch or 33, whatever size wand. I'll link to it down below. The next thing you want to use is you definitely want one of these. These are the surface cleaners, and you can see that I have put a ton of miles. Oh, that one's plugged. I got to clean it up. We have put a ton of miles on these things. As a matter of fact, we even cleaned the dock. A few months ago, before we stained our dock at the pond, we actually used this to clean the dock. So these are supposed to be yellow. You can see how old these are. I'm guessing this is 3 years old, and we've been abusing it. We throw it in the shed. This one was actually, this was at the farm, wasn't it?
It was left outside, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't work. One of the nozzles was plugged. So basically what you have to do is you have to unscrew this little, come in closer. You have to unscrew this little tip here. Then I had to get a Q-tip. I got a Q-tip and I got a pin until the point where I could go and I could feel air blowing out of that tiny little hole. So now I got to put it back together and we can get to pressure washing.
I got it. Yeah.
So here we go. So this is just using the surface cleaner. No bleach, no anything. It basically strips a small layer of concrete off of here. This is going to be perfectly white and bright when it dries. You don't need to use anything else. There's the little strip. There's a little strip here that we poured that bleach on. We'll show you that in a little bit, but now we're going to clean. Started doing this, and he wasn't overlapping enough. It was inconsistent. Here's the All right, so the mistake that people make and what Ryan was doing was is they do one swatch. So if this is 15 inches, they do a 15-inch strip and then they move down another 15 inches. Or they may overlap just an inch. And what I'm saying is if you're going to go across steady, move it down about 4 inches, go across, 4 inches, go across, 4 inches, go across. And yes, you'll be hitting most of that twice, but look how fast. I mean, this goes, that was what, 2 minutes, and I did this whole area. And you can see the area over there with the bleach, there's no difference. When this dries, when we clean this off, we clean that off and let it dry. But look at, you can see all the crap that's coming off. And this is basically, it's a light coat of cement that's coming off of here. Another thing is if you use any kind of cleaners, you're also gonna put that cleaner into your grass, so it'll possibly kill your grass. I mean, you'll be able to do, he'll probably be able to do this whole driveway. What do you think? What did we do that in last time? About an hour?
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, an hour and a half or so. Plus we gotta do the sidewalk in the front, and then eventually we have to do the sidewalks. We'll do the sidewalks another day. So you'll notice that Ryan has the tennis ball stuck in his grip, so he doesn't have to keep squeezing it. Now, another tip. So let me give you another tip on this. I just shut off the machine again. So here's something that you'll learn after years of doing this. When you start to move this way, what I want you to do is make it a little bit like this. So just a little bit, tilt the head just tiny bit like this. When you come back this way, actually do the opposite. And what it'll do is instead of those brushes dragging along the cement, you'll find that they float a little bit.
So are you saying lift up or down?
Now it'll move. When I squeeze this handle, it'll actually lock in place. And as it locks in place, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn it and use that and go back and forth like this, back and forth like this. Let me start it up and I'll show you. All right, so that's a step right here that a lot of people miss. We're fortunate that we don't have a bunch of sunshine today, but you've got to get that crap off the cement while it's wet. You've got to move it off because that's everything you've taken off. Now, okay, so after you got done with that and you rinsed it off, first of all, when you rinse it off, it's not easy to rinse off. That stuff is heavy.
Sticks, yeah.
It sticks. You're actually trying to rinse concrete or cement off of this concrete, and it's not easy. Actually, what I've done in the past is I actually have a hose splitter, and sometimes it's actually easier to take a garden hose and rinse it off with a higher GPH than PSI. Anyways, so he got done with this, and what do we notice?
Horizontal streak.
All right, so he had some horizontal streaks. And so what I showed him was that if you find that you have horizontal streaks, all you have to do is just run the other way real quick. Just run real quick like this.
You can see it right here.
So, right. So we did it here. We did this little patch here, and you can see he had a couple streaks right there. We just ran real quick, just this way, this way, this way. Now, when the girls were doing this, I had the girls do this last year. Last year I did the same thing. I had them go across like this and then hit it one time the other way, and it comes out perfect. Okay, so in a previous video I showed you guys where I put a splitter on the hose right here at the machine, and why did I do that? It's because what did you learn from this?
The worst part is getting all the crap off after you've used the spinning wheel.
That's right. So because we're using a tip, the tip has a very low GPH. Now your GPH is gallons per hour. So if you go to a straight hose, the hose has a high GPH and it just pushes this stuff right off. He was out here fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. And then I showed him, I went and got the hose and hooked the hose up back here. And he's like, dude, that's so much easier. Go ahead and spray it and show him what I mean.
You do it full or?
No, halfway. A little more. Just go, you'll see, go ahead. But it just moves it off so fast and so quick. So this is a tip that you can actually split your hose and just get high volume, high GPH down, and it'll move that stuff. Because,
See it all moving.
yeah, I mean, don't forget, what you're moving here is you're actually moving cement, sand and cement. Yes, there's a lot of dirt in here, but you're actually taking a layer of this concrete off, and what's coming off is not really the rocks that's inside, but the cement, that actual fine gray dust, and it just moves it so much easier. Okay, so Ryan has finished the whole driveway. We're gonna call it a day because it's already been a long day. It's 3 in the afternoon. But the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take pump saver, and let me show you how we do this. Here you go, Ryan, hold that for me. Because I'm gonna hook this up here. You don't need much. You don't wanna put too much in. But basically what you wanna see is just some come out of here. As soon as you see it coming out of here, you're done. Whew. Okay, so here's what I want you to understand. After you finish pressure washing, of course you want to look and see if you have any streaks. And if you do have any streaks, you can go back and touch it up real quick. But the sun needs to pound on this concrete for several hours before it actually dries out and it turns white. Matter of fact, so the day that we did this, it was actually drizzly and cloudy and rainy. The next day I came out, and let me show you, I took the drone up and I shot the driveway, and man, once it dries out, it just turns absolutely bright white. Now our driveway, I think our house is probably about 16 years old, and every year I have to pressure wash it every single year. But man, it just turns absolutely bright white. So this is going to teach you how to clean a driveway faster and easier. Every time I see one of my neighbors out there with a tip, and they're out there for hours and hours and hours, I'll walk over and I'll actually bring over an extension wand, and I'll bring over one of my surface cleaners, and I'll say, look, let me show you how to do this. And I've actually done that. Mike over here was out there doing it. I gave it to him, changed his life. Barb over here was out here trying to do it. I said, Barb. So I actually brought a whole pressure washer because she had an old one. I brought one of my pressure washers and the surface cleaner over to her, and she did her whole driveway and all her sidewalks last year. So the surface cleaner, I don't care what anyone says, you can debate it all you want, it's going to change your life. It keeps that spray from coming up. You don't have to worry even about safety glasses. You should wear them, of course, but there's no spray that comes up when you're on the edge of a driveway and you get all that mud in your face. It's a nice soft way to do it. So anyways, hope this has helped. Don't forget, I'll link to everything down below. Talk to you later. Doc.